If you were to close your eyes and try to imagine pure evil, what would you see? I know my answer. But to the average human, you'd probably think of something that looks like me. Well, I'm here to tell you, you've got it all wrong. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Malcriada Thoughts, hosted by yours truly, Sadra Knives. I'm dressed up as my original character or online presence today as Malcriada, the little voice that lives in my head. I hope you guys like it. In honor of the holidays, I thought it would be appropriate to do a little episode on religious trauma. Yay! But in all seriousness, I think this is a very important topic, and I just wanted to give you guys a little episode before the holidays, because I know that in a lot of Malcriadas households, holidays aren't the most peaceful thing. And if you were a person who had a really happy holidays with families and all that stuff, good for you, dude. I'm so happy that that happened for you. Others have CPTSD. So there's that. If you don't know what CPTSD, it stands for Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. Google away. I just wanted to make a little check-in video and to talk about the holidays and religious trauma, since I just released a blog about it. If you guys want to go check that out, you absolutely can, and you should. It's all recorded, so even though it's written, I know that for me, reading stuff just purely in my head is really hard for me, and my words get all jumbled up and I have to read the same line over and over and over again. But I think it's so helpful, and I want to just be inclusive and have my material be able to reach as much people as I can. And yeah, I'm trying my best. But it's a one-woman show, so please be patient with me. But also, I appreciate you guys a lot for tuning in and watching my shit, because there's effort here. All right, let's stop tickling each other's toes and let's get into it. Malcriadas against the real demons. Religious trauma and spiritual psychosis. Woo! Religious trauma is a very serious matter to me because I am someone who has experienced that. And I'm not only just one person, me and most of the women who and children that I've grown up around have experienced some sort of religious trauma or some sort of spiritual abuse, either by their parent, or it could also be from an institution like a school. It could be a lot of things. It could be from anything that holds power over you or authority over you, which that just means that they have a say in what you do. Your parents have a say in what you do because they're your parents and they have to take care of you. But at a certain point, this isn't the case anymore because you have developed your own autonomy. You have developed your own sense of control of your own person. Sometimes religious trauma impedes that from happening, and it creates these kids who just are yes men and loyal servants, which is so weird. But before getting into this, I need to make it clear my biases. I have was never a Jehovah's Witness because I never went through the whole process of, becoming one. Actually, I would just go to their congregations because my mom would go to these congregations. So she'd always say, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, I'm just studying with them. And because there's a whole ass initiation, whatever. It's just like, it's like communion, in a way. And I've gone through a lot of shifts spiritually because my family, my parents were not a unified front. I come from a toxic family. I come from a very, very, very dysfunctional family, which I never saw my parents as a united front. I never saw them as a whole. I always saw them, oh, it's mom and dad, and I have to choose between them, and I have to fluctuate between them. I have to do all these things to please them in their different ways that they want to be pleased, because they don't have a goal for us. My dad wanted us to just go to school and major in something that will be very lucrative, like being doctors, being architects, etc., lawyers. My mom was more of a, or she was a little bit more lenient. But like if I said I wanted to be an artist, she would be like, "Girl, you're gonna starve. Like I'm telling you right now, you're gonna starve." And I don't blame her now because I'm a grown ass person. But at the time, like I was very hurt. I was very hurt because I was a little kid, and when you're a little kid, all you want is from your parents is for their validation and their support. And a lot of the times, kids everywhere, but especially here in the valley, don't get that because our communities and our cities don't prioritize the children's well-beings. They don't prioritize the children's future. They don't prioritize the environment. They don't prioritize the people. To put it so simple, they don't prioritize the people, and they just line their pockets with money and say, I tried. And it's really shitty because that seems to be the case everywhere. And yeah, but my parents knew that. My parents knew this. Like, that's the thing. How do you break that reality to kids? My parents did not have a hard time breaking that reality to us so early because they, according to them, they were treating us and raising us way better than their parents ever did. And that's fair. It's true. I did not live the life of my parents. I did not live my parents' trauma, but they also inherited some traits that I could have lived without from their parents, such as imposing religion on the kids and forcing them to believe in things that they either don't agree with or question a lot. And this is very dangerous because I think it impedes the development of a child's brain if they ask questions and the answers aren't accurate. So my dad was Catholic. He's always been Catholic. Peru is a very Catholic forward country due to colonization, obviously. Oh my god. And my mom, she was more of an evangelical Christian, whatever. That's kind of like what reached her pueblo more. They didn't have the privilege to be able to know what kind of values they are supposed to find in a marriage. Their parents never sat them down and told them, this is what you need to look for in a man, this is what you need to look for in a woman, this is what you need to look for in a family, in a spouse, and do this. Like, no. They learned at chingazos. They learned through the hardest of ways. There was no communication between them and their parents. It was only, do this because I'm your parent, and if you don't do this, I'm going to beat you, and you can't tell me anything because God says to honor your parents. Honra a tu padre y a tu madre. El que maldiga a su padre y a su madre morirá. Porque naciste en pecado. Literally, it's such a... When I was living during these times when my mom was still enforcing her faith on us, and so was my dad, but because my dad was out working, there really wasn't enough time for him to impose anything. The only thing he would do is argue with my mom about the stuff that we were learning, which we were going to little Christian mega churches at the time, and I didn't like them. I don't know if it was because like I just didn't like the energy as a child, because kids like feel shit, but I didn't like them. I remember the the nicest things I remember from the Bible would be reading with my mom, and my mom telling me the stories and telling me her perspective and adding a voice afflictions and all these things. That's what I liked. But these people at the church, they didn't give that. It was very judgmental. It was very extravagant, which confused me because one of my favorite stories growing up as a child of God was when Jesus went into the temple and he saw all these merchants and all these people making a business in the house of God, and he lost it. He flipped tables and he was like, you guys are fucking being disrespectful. What the fuck? This is my father's house. That's what intrigued me about the stories that my mom would read to me. I honored and I admired the bravery that Jesus. Like, in all honesty, I admired how brave Jesus was. And when people would say you should try to be like Jesus, I was like, dude, hell yeah, dude, we should be like Jesus, dude. Like, hell yeah, that dude was lit. He was a good ass, cool ass dude. And he got assassinated by the government, by the Roman government. Yet here we are abiding by so many like Roman government stuff. Isn't that a little weird? Like, do you guys only like Jesus because he died? I don't know. And that's the thing with a lot of Christians and a lot of people who see progressive policy as demonic. They are seeing the demons in all the wrong places when they're literally in the mirror. They're in your house. They're your uncles. They're your mean tías who throw shade at you y que te tienen tanta envidia. And that's what I don't understand. And around the time of the holidays, it was always a mess because it would be like my mom on one side saying, no, we can't celebrate because that's the devil, and actually these are all just pagan holidays, and she was right. But she would write off these celebrations as demonic. And I did not understand that at all, because in school I would be learning about the history of some of these things, and what my mom told me was not accurate. So I was just a confused ass child trying to find some answers in this big ass primordial soup of the world. And it just confused the hell out of me, and it terrified me. Most of all, it terrified me because from afar, the devil kind of sounds like the kukui, just like a story to tell kids, behave or the kukui is gonna get you. Behave or chupacabra is gonna get you. Don't run off in the middle of the night, because if not, this is gonna happen. That's what it gave when I was learning about it. And I didn't understand. And every time I asked questions like, okay, mom, but isn't the devil an angel? Isn't he also God's son? So if he was angry at his dad then, so that means that they just fought and they need to, get better and whatever. They just need to make up. It made a lot more sense in my head. That made a lot more sense in my head than the devil doing a whole rebellion against all these things. And you can never find answers. You can never ever find a direct answer, and it's all just, yeah. And not only that, the reason why organized religion, Abrahamic religions were never a good match with me, was because of all the misogyny, pedophilia, and the shame-based teachings that I kept finding. When I was growing up, learning my body, going through puberty, all this shit, nothing was taught to me about my body. Nothing was taught to me as if, like, your body is your own and no one has the right to touch it. Like, no. My mom spoke of my body as if it was already not mine. As if it's bound to happen to be assaulted. It's bound to happen to be raped. It's bound to happen because that's just what happens to girls in this world. And she thought the only way of protecting me was slut-shaming me. Slut-shaming a 9-year-old who didn't even know what sex was and had all these questions about, why is there discharge in my underwear? Why do I feel like this when I see people kissing? And my normal feelings were demonized. The curiosity that literally the childlike wonder that I had was, no, bitch, you're not allowed to feel that, and you're dirty slut demon child for even thinking about it. So go sit in the corner. That's awful. That's awful. And not only that, as I kept growing up, I realized that I was not straight. I was not straight at all, and I did not like the way these churches and these organized religions spoke of queerness. especially when the pastor of the congregation that we went to for the Jehovah's Witness was caught, um, was outed as a predator. So, yeah, good on my mom for leaving that place, right? When I look back at it, I just see the fact that there was a lack of community for women. And the only community that I see that really unites a lot of women and makes a lot of women come together here in the valley is religion, is churches, is God, is the Christian God. And it makes me so upset because women, mothers, señoras, they're more than just servants of a God. And they should have the right to have spaces where they can gather and talk their shit and do whatever they want without having it to be in the name of an organized institution. And the reason I say all this is because these religions were literally brought over to our countries to and literally enslaved our ancestors, and they forced them to convert into things that they did not believe in. So what did our ancestors have to do? Adapt and hide their gods in the practices that they were doing. And now it's all a huge mix. Yes, I can acknowledge that it's been a long time since then. But I also can acknowledge that even though it's been a really long time since that's happened, people are still feeling the effects. If you jump into a pool, the waves just keep going till it doesn't stop for a long time. And will they ever? That's what I think about, at least. And in the holidays, it was just worse, man, because these people are just arguing. At least in my household, that's how it was. It was always argument. Why didn't we do this custom? Why didn't we do this? Why didn't we put up a tree? Because the trees are pagan. Because the trees aren't even Christian. Because this and this and that. And because of this and this and that. And it was really, really ugly. I hated holidays growing up. Now as an adult, I have a little bit more of a control over that. And yeah, it's gotten better. But I'm not going to say that it's easy. I'm not going to say that I'm having the best of time now and all my family is super healthy, because it's not. And the reason why I keep coming back and making stories and content for people, because people like me and people like you watching like deserve this content, and you guys deserve to you guys deserve to have people who know or have a similar background validate your experiences. And I think the valley is missing a lot of that. We're getting lost in so much conservatism. This new wave of conservatism is coming 10 times stronger and 10 times more ignorant, 10 times more ugly, 10 times more hateful. All the negatives. And I need people, or I would like for people to understand that a lot of this is the way we create this divide is through religion. Because when you think of evil things, you think of this. You think of horns, you think of evil eyes, red eyes, a little creature lurking in the darkness of the night, ready to pounce on you and take out your money. When that's not even the biggest dangers that we should be worried about. The world is burning. We are destroying the world because of our greed, because of our consumerism, because there are people in this world that think that they deserve 10 million mansions and you deserve nothing. And I think that's wrong. And I think everyone deserves to have a right to have a shelter. I think everyone deserves the right to food. I think everyone deserves the right to education. No ifs, buts, or coconuts. It's possible. And we know it's possible. And religion just creates like such a different divide. Disclaimer, I know that there are good Christians out there. I know that there are good Catholics out there. I know that there's good anyone from any religion can be a good person. I don't see people as their religion. I see them as people. Mostly like I see people for their actions. So if someone says like, oh, they're a Christian and you're being an asshole, I'm gonna believe you. Not because you say you're Christian, but because you're being an asshole. And that's the thing, labels aren't going to save you. If you say you're traditional, it's not going to save you from misogyny. From I'm a traditional wife, it's not going to save you from misogyny. If you say, oh no, I'm not like those other people, oh no, I'm a good Christian, it's not going to save you from the government like literally like taxing you and gentrifying your neighborhood. It's not going to help you. And that's what I want more people to realize. Divide and Conquer has us by the throats, and it's so disappointing. But let's make space, okay? Let's make space for everyone who has experimented or anyone who has experienced some sort of religious trauma. I'm holding space for you, and I'm telling you that it's okay. And I'm so sorry that happened to you. It's not supposed to be like this, but it is, unfortunately. But you are more than your past. You are more than the horrible actions that people have done to you. And if you are here, present, living, breathing, you are doing amazing. And these holidays are hard. I know these holidays are so fucking hard. I know these holidays are hard because many of you might be seeing some family you don't like. Maybe you guys are gonna have to deal with some drama that's been happening. Sometimes interacting with these people isn't really fun. It's really draining even. I understand that. I understand that completely. And sometimes we feel like a lot of us Malcriadas feel like we have to perform for our family. Older daughters feel like they have to hold everything together so that everything falls into place and no one falls off the wagon. And it sucks. It sucks that we have that. We have to carry that. But I think that your strength and your resilience is beautiful. And I believe in you. That's it. I believe in y'all. I believe in me. I believe in the things that I'm doing. I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect individual, and that's okay. Because we were all born in this fucked up system. If we all get flushed down the toilet, we're all gonna have a little bit of fucking shit on us. And right now, we all have manchas de mierda on us. We do. And this is a place where, at least on my podcast, this is a place where there's no judgment. It's a place where I want to make room for all of the perspectives, not bigoted perspectives. Not that. Just all the ignored little perspectives that sometimes get mixed or washed away in the big essay that basically goes into making each one of these episodes almost. But yeah, that's mostly what I have to say on religious trauma. But moreover, on the fact that I don't believe in any Abrahamic religions, like, I don't. But that doesn't mean that I think they're stupid or all of the things that are written are stupid, because there are some stupid things written in the Bible. Like, I'm just gonna be straight up with you. Like, it says that women belong to men and they have to be submissive to them and da 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 da. It's like, it's in almost every book. Like, I don't like the binary that these religions bring, because I don't believe in the binary. I don't believe that that's a good system to go by. And more so, like, I respect the theory. There we go. I respect the theory, because going into and writing a whole religion, it takes creativity. It takes a lot. But I'm not going to take anyone's writing 100%. I'm not going to take anyone's writing as fact, especially people who I've never met, especially people who I can't verify, who are dead. And yeah, I will, like I said, Jesus is a cool guy, but I also know that he was not perfect and he wasn't a saint. Like, he was just a man. He was just a man who tried to make a big change in the world, and I acknowledge that. Eso te doy eso y todo. But I'm not going to be anyone's servant. I'm not going to be anyone's loyal servant, because I don't believe in hierarchy. And I don't think anyone should have to bow down to someone else. And I don't think that anyone should be above everyone. Anyone. I don't think that any one of us is above each other. I think we're just really far away and we can't hear each other. That's what I always try to lead with. But at the same time, I'm also going to recognize, like, I know, like, your capacities. Like, if you can't deal with that That tia that's always preaching to you, take time for yourself. It's fine. Like, you can just step away, like, oh, I'm gonna go to the restroom, and then just disappear. Because it's exhausting. It's a little exhausting always, like, getting preached at. I feel like that's how maybe that's how my friends feel about me when I'm like, and this is the way capitalism ruins everything. Like, yeah, I know I sound fucking annoying. I know it's annoying, but do we need to hear it? Yes. We need to hear it. We need to hear it. And, like, people, we're so used to our comforts, and that's not okay. We can't just live a life of convenience, because then we'll never learn anything. Environment of capitalism is not one that is based in love, it's one that is based on greed. And that's literally what goes into these holidays too. Like, Santa Claus, an old man is just gonna come to my house and give my child presents who I don't even know. That's fucking weird, okay? And it's just it's just another holiday to literally promote consumerism and capitalism and cockism and bawkism and chalkism and trism and lolism and all these ugly things. And I'm tired. And I believe that we can have celebration without it being a consumer based one. And shit. Yeah. But even though I'm not a religious person, I am a very spiritual person. And because there's only the divine three: mind, body, and spirit. Mind, body, and spirit, mind, body, and spirit. And I have tried to gain control of my body through learning and experimenting and just trying to see what I feel comfortable in. Funnily enough, I feel comfortable in this. I feel more comfortable in this than whatever society wants me to look like all the time. And the thing with this, like, it's just fake. It's plastic. It's plastic. It's just plastic. It's all just plastic. Help me. I'm kidding. But yeah, those are the thoughts I have on religious trauma and the holidays. But I really hope that you guys have a nice one this year. Rest up, celebrate, because tough times are coming. But like they always do. And we'll help each other throughout of it. I know that I'll be posting stuff. I'll be doing more interviews. I'll be reaching out to more awesome people in my community to interview and to showcase on my podcast, because the Valley and the activists of the Valley and the people actually organizing here and making things happen and trying to keep our community safe and clean and sustainable, those are the people who need to be platformed. Those are the people that need to be celebrated. Not multi-billionaires and not people who have died like thousands of years ago. And not stupid rich ass billionaires who all they want to do is colonize Mars. So I talked a little bit about my experience with religious trauma, but now I want to talk about spiritual psychosis and really what it is. And so regular psychosis is when you can't get a good grasp on reality. You can't really tell what's real or not, and you kind of disassociate into this state of delusion. And you really need people to help you with that, and you need support, and you need people to take care of you during that time. But because it means that you have worn out your body so much that your mind is like confused into what's going on. Like, it's severe stress, but also could be a response to a traumatic event. It has a lot of psychology into it, obviously. But when you add spiritual psychosis, it's usually the same thing, but you throw in religious topics, religious tones. For example, like when people thought the world was gonna end in 2012, or when people thought the world was going to end in 2000 or things like that. And like there's also there's a solar eclipse recently, and people lost their lives because they thought that that was the best thing to do. Instead of waiting for the world to end, it'd be easier for them to just take themselves out. So that's a sort of type of spiritual psychosis that I've been seeing, and I mostly see it in señoras. And like I said before, like, it's really sad because a lot of the times señoras, their only outlet, their only communal outlet is through churches, through religious institutions. One time I was doing research to see what school board person candidate to vote for locally, and I was looking at their website, which their website is just like people's Facebook pages, like over here. That's how they would do it. And I was, looking around just to see if these people aren't like people that I wanted to vote for weren't like super mega conservative, and I found this on one of the people's posts, and it's from the perspective of a woman. Let me read it to y'all. This hit me hard. Have you ever noticed how in the scripture men are always going into the mountains to commune with the Lord? Yet in the scriptures we hardly ever hear of women going to the mountains. But we know why, right? Because the women were too busy keeping life going. They couldn't abandon babies, meals, homes, fires, gardens, and 1,000 responsibilities to make the climb into the mountains. I was talking to a friend the other day, saying that as modern women, I feel like I'm never free enough from my responsibilities, never in a quiet enough space I want with God. Her response floored me. This is why God comes to women. Men have to climb to the mountain to meet God, but God comes to women where they are. I have been pondering on her words for weeks and have searched my scriptures to see that what she said is true. God does indeed come to women where they are, when they are doing their ordinary, everyday work. He meets them in the wells, where they draw water for their families, their homes, in their kitchens, in their gardens. He comes to them, and they sit beside sick beds as they give birth, care for the elderly, and perform necessary mourning and burial rites. Even at the empty tomb, Mary was the first to witness Christ's resurrection. She was there because she was doing the womanly chore of properly preparing Christ for burial. In these seemingly mundane and ordinary tasks, these women of the scriptures found themselves face to face with divinity. So if, like me, you ever start to bemoan the fact that you don't have as much time to spend in the mountains with God as you would like, remember, God comes to women. He knows where we are and the burdens we carry. He sees us. And if we open our eyes and our hearts, we will see him. Even in the most ordinary places and in the most ordinary things, he lives. And he's using a time such as this to speak to women around the world. It just sounds like you want to go outside more, and you want more of like a even distribution of labor in your household. But religion tells you you're complaining for your womanly chores. Just remember that God is with you when you're washing dishes. God is with you when you're cleaning out los calzones cagados de tus huercos. He's right there with you. He's right there with you. Don't worry. He's there. You don't see him, but you feel him. Girl, give me a fucking break. Like, this lady was just trying, she was feeling normal things as a modern woman. Like, shit, like, we're doing a lot. She feels like the division of labor in her household wasn't, enough, but she didn't have the language to express that. The only language that she has is God language. And there we go. When you grow up with religion, when you grow up with specifically Abrahamic religion, it mixes into your language. And that language is one of shame. It's one of hierarchy. It's one of everyone does their role, everyone does their part, and everything will be okay. Just keep playing your part. But it never pushes you to question that. It never pushes you to see, what even is this part for? Who is this for? And it shames you if you ever want some more time for yourself. If you're using time, like the precious womanly chores, the precious woman time that you have should be spent on cleaning and preparing your husband's or your child's bodies, and mending the garden and cleaning my socks and making me a sandwich. Like, girl. But yeah, spiritual psychosis sucks because it limits the autonomy of people. It, instead of like them chasing, something that they actually are passionate about, for example, writing, or if they're passionate about dancing, or if they're passionate about doing any creative thing ever, it's just considered as a hobby and a waste of time, because your true fulfillment, the only thing that will fulfill you as a woman is having a family, having kids, and being a domestic creature. And if it works, it works. If it works for you, it works for you, right? But I can't seem to ever ignore the fact that the basis of these religions, the basis of these ideas, are based in making someone submit to you. And that someone is usually always a feminine, a woman. So, yeah. No one's gonna come to save us. No one's coming to save us. Literally, no one is coming to save us. And that's the worst thing I had to face. And the shift I have to do with the belief of God. Because I don't see God as just one man in the sky. I don't. I see God as like a spirit, the spirit of everything, and the life energy of source, the universe, everything. And that holds no body, it holds nothing, it just is. And it makes sense for me to serve everything in that sense, not just solely one thing and one type of energy. That makes no sense. So yeah, that's a little bit on spiritual psychosis and religious trauma, the real demons. But yeah, I know the whole demon shit is overplayed, like it's been overplayed, but I don't care. If people want to demonize my actions because I want to advocate for my community, I want clean energy, because I want a safe environment for kids, because I want inclusivity, because I want diversity, because I want everyone to be able to have the right to eat and go to school. If people want to call me a demon for that, if people want to call me evil for that, if people want to call me like a fucking demon, a murderer or whatever, just for having control over my own body as a woman, then think of me like that. I don't care. I literally don't care, because I don't see any of the people who are wagging their fingers at these people doing anything except contributing to more destructive behaviors, not only to themselves but to the world. But yeah, that's really all I have to tell you guys. I'm so proud of you, dear viewer, for getting along this far in life, and with all the fucking shit that we've gone through, with all these things that have been happening. Give yourself a pat on the back, and come bien rico this Navidad. Come bien rico. Have fun with your family. Try to tune out the annoying ones out. Don't forget that this is your life, and you have the right to live it as much as any of these motherfuckers. And live it however way you want. Yeah. Alright, guys. Well, sorry I was cut short, but I really put in a lot of effort into the setup and my makeup and all these things. And all I wanted to say is that you're not alone. if you're a fellow Malcriada, you are not alone. There are so many of us scattered all over the valley, and I hope to collect all of them one day, and we could all have a meetup, and we can all have a party, and we can all, and it could be safe and inclusive and protective, unlike other parties. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, yeah. But anyways, that's all this Malcriada had to say. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Malcriada Thoughts. This was your host, Sajir Knives, signing off.